And it is the Saturday Coffee Klatch with Heather Lofthouse and yours truly, Robert Reich. Heather, how are you doing?
Depends on the second you ask.
I know.
I would say I am a mix of, depending on the moment, sad and fired up. More than mad. A lot of people I know are mad. I'm not sad today.
I'm mad.
I mean, I'm not mad today.
No,
Are you mad?
I am angry. I wake up some of these mornings, I've been waking up just despondent. I have to admit, just depressed. But more and more, I'm just angry. I'm just angry. I'm fired up. I am pissed off.
Do you do box breathing?
No. What is that?
Do you do the physiological sigh?
No.
So that one is you breathe in and then you breathe out. I mean, there are things to be
I do
doing.
breathe in and out.
God,
it's easy to do that.
Please.
But,
okay, but really, truly, so you're mad and I'm sad fired up today. That's a good combo.
Okay, so what are we going to do
Great.
today?
So let's talk about these bonkers appointments.
Okay, I'm really ready to talk about these bonkers appointments.
I know.
I mean, really.
So bonkers appointments, why is he doing this? How is he going to get them through? And then really, truly, what can we, Democrats, us, be doing?
You, us, you.
What can we do?
Let's go.
Okay.
Well, the appointments, do you want to go through them?
I guess. I mean, I think we should. Okay, fine. Let's go through them.
It's a blitzkrieg.
It really is an onslaught. Okay, so we had Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense.
Secretary of Defense. What has he done? What does he know about defense? He was a Fox News host.
Well, he's an anchor.
And his only qualification is that he very early was there for Trump. I mean, he's one of the Trump early loyalists.
Right. I know. And he served, but a lot of people have served.
A lot of people served. I mean, that can't be the criteria.
Okay, how about Matt Gaetz?
He knows nothing about the Defense Department. Okay, he comes in absolutely nothing. Did you say Matt Gaetz?
Oh, I said
I
as
thought
attorney.
that was
Bob, you were so fired up today.
I thought that was a joke when I heard it for the first time. I mean, people
wish.
said to me, and I laughed because it was so outrageous.
Attorney General.
Matt Gaetz is, he was under investigation by the Department of Justice for sex trafficking. There was an ethics investigation of him involved in the same issues. I mean, it's over now because he resigned.
Clever.
But he is also, I mean, his distinguishing characteristic is he's crazy. He says anything. And it's pro-Trump, 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 pro-Trump. And he's made a complete ass of himself in Congress. I mean, there's even Republicans really can't stand him.
Well, that's a lot of Republicans and some media, for what they're worth, are coming out against these people.
Department of Justice, Department of Defense.
I know. Okay, let's keep
going. Can I just say one more thing? Mm-hmm. Trump has denigrated and demeaned the presidency. Now he's denigrating and demeaning the entire system of self-government.
I want to talk about why, but let's just get through these names. Okay, Kristi Noem.
Kristi Noem is
Secretary of Homeland Security.
Governor of South Dakota. She sent National Guards people from South Dakota to the border. I mean, South Dakota is not on the border. It's not near the border.
No.
So she's a big fan of Trump. She's a total loyalist like everybody else.
I mean, all of these people are just right in line with what he wants. Okay, Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence. I can't even finish my sentences.
Director of National Intelligence. She has no intelligence. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard again was a late night joke on late night comedy. What is she? She's known for very early on coming out with, when Putin invaded Ukraine, she was on Russia's side. She's been on Putin's side. She uses talking points from Putin. I mean, she may be one of these people who's talking to Putin all the time. In terms of national intelligence,
I know. And she's one of these defectors too. I mean, she's come over to the Trump side. It's been wild to watch her.
Well, she's been a Looney Tunes right from the beginning.
No, I know. Okay, John Radcliffe. He's going to be Secretary of...
Well, he's going to be Director of CIA.
CIA.
And he was in National Intelligence before, but really, he made his name, and Trump only remembers that when he was in Congress, Radcliffe was a big Trump booster. He came to Trump's defense in both impeachment hearings on the Judiciary Committee, House Judiciary Committee. Radcliffe was angry at Mueller, and he sort of minimized the Mueller report, said it was a bunch of crap, and he supported Trump in the second impeachment. I mean, these are nobody but Trump total loyalists. I mean,
Can I mention one more?
Yeah.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Oh, please. Did you have to do that?
Head of Health and Human
I mean,
Services.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a crackpot. He's a total crackpot.
But he's a medical doctor.
He's nothing. He has put out, rumors, innuendos,
So bad.
conspiracy theories about vaccines. The idea, Heather, that he is going to be in charge of the National Institutes of Health, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, the Centers for Disease Control, the entire apparatus of our health industry and our health care and our health protections is beyond ludicrous.
Well,
beyond ludicrous.
But it's an affront to the truth. It's an affront to science. It is all these people who have spent careers trying to create robust public health systems for the many, not the few.
I knew Robert F. Kennedy Sr.
Yes.
And he and Jr. It's no Robert F. Kennedy Sr.
I know.
In fact, Robert F. Kennedy Sr. would be rolling in his grave if he. I mean, it's such an insult to the memory of Robert F. Kennedy.
Now, when you were in the Clinton administration, I mean, do you remember when he was announcing who? I mean, this is unheard of, right? And it feels very fast. I mean, he was elected 2 minutes ago. You said blitzkrieg. It feels like such an onslaught.
It's a nightmare. And I never expected the nightmare to happen this quickly. I mean, it was, we're talking about a week ago Tuesday. This is unheard of to come up with appointments. And putting to one side how totally bonkers these appointments are, but it's unheard of to come up with these appointments so fast. And there's no reason to do it because, you still need your own Senate. That is the Senate that starts on January 3rd to be in charge of confirming these people. So the whole purpose here, I mean,
this is my question.
People ask me, why is he doing this? Number one, blitzkrieg. This is Hitler, shock and awe. This is just this is flooding the zone. So none of us has a chance to think.
And to inundate and just take over even whatever the Dems were planning to do. I mean, he's still dominating. And we'll get to that later, what the Dems need to be doing. Absolutely, but it's the
center of attention, dominating. I mean, we forget that that Biden is president. We forget that Kamala Harris is still vice president, that the Democrats are still in charge of the Senate. No. It feels like this new regime, and it's not an administration, it's a regime. It feels like this new darkness has already overcome us. Descended. And it's demoralizing. And that's what it's intended to do. It's intended to shock and demoralize and make us either resigned, oh, I can't do anything, I can't think about anything, or overwhelmed.
But so flooding. That's A. B. Yeah. And it can be all of these things at once. But the other thing you wrote in your Substack, too, was this is a test, right? Let's get the wildest people who Trump and his cronies are fine with actually serving if they win. And let's see what's going to happen in the Senate.
Well, that's right. Because the Republican senators who start in January 3rd, most of them are still there. Most of them are there now. They don't have majority power yet. But Trump knows that he needs the Republican Senate. And he wants to smoke out his opponents. Now, he knows that Lisa Murkowski from Alaska and Susan Collins from Maine are so-called moderate Republicans, and they're already making noises. But he wants to primary anybody who opposes him. He wants to this is a man who is filled with nothing but grievance and vengeance. And this is what's
power hungriness.
Power hungry, and even the test that he's creating for John Thune, who's going to be the next majority leader of the Senate. The test is Thune, and this is exactly what Trump is demanding. You have to, once the Senate is in session after January 3rd, the new Senate, you've got to then call a recess so that I, Donald Trump, can make all these recess appointments. I can do all this, just snapping my fingers. So there will be no vote. There'll be no hearings. I can just do this. And these recess appointments, well, they'll be at least there a year. And then, they already have the power to get a lot of stuff done.
And again, recess appointments are things that happen, but not in this way?
No. Recess appointments. In the Constitution allows a recess appointment because when the Constitution was written, it was sometimes hard for senators from all over the colonies to all over the states or the new states to get to Washington. It took days. So sometimes you couldn't get a quorum.
Right. Your horse got sick.
There was the horse and buggy day.
Yeah.
So yes, you had to have, the president needed people. And so if they couldn't get a quorum, you have a recess appointment. But that was an exception.
Right.
Heather, what we're seeing Donald Trump doing now is basically giving his middle finger to the system, to the entire federal government and the kind of system that is there. That's our system of self-government.
It's an authoritarian playbook. I mean, you've been saying this. I took leadership with you in graduate school. You taught a course on leadership. Can I get a redo? Because I feel like I wasn't prepared for this, with all due respect. I probably gave you good feedback at the end, but if I had to redo it, can you teach us a new leadership course? Can you start? I want to know what a good leader is, and then I want to know more about, I wish I had known more about the authoritarian playbook.
Well, here's
20 years ago.
The problem is that Trump is all about power. And as I said, grievance and vengeance. So all of his appointments and every move he's making is all about testing the limits of his power. He really does feel that there's no limit, that the Supreme Court is tractable and supine and will let him do anything he wants, that the Republicans in the Senate and also in the House are totally cowed and intimidated. The Republican Party is his party. The Democrats don't know what to do. They're just, in la-la land. And so he feels like now is the time. Now, he's not yet in power, but he's getting everything lined up and he wants to intimidate everybody. And he's going to it is a blitzkrieg. It is blitzkrieg. It's exactly what the Nazis did.
Now, now that he'll be president, so jail schmail, right? He's going to be less worried about everything, but he's so money hungry. I mean, he needs money, relatively speaking. In his head, he does. I mean, when you're hanging out with Elon.
Well, the worst. Let's talk about Elon too.
Elon next.
Yes, the worst thing about this is that Trump's, he is riding the wave financially. Of all of this, the Truth Social, Trump Social, is his company. Is doing well. A lot of people want to curry his favor, and so money is coming in all sorts of ways. There are conflicts of interest galore, but he wasn't particularly concerned about them the first time around, and he's even less concerned now. He's not even filing any forms. He's not providing any information. He's not subscribing to what the law requires with regard to transfers of power and new administrations. He basically is saying, the hell with all of you.
Right. Do you think all of the people he's floated will get through, or do you think Gaetz is kind of on the edge? I mean, a lot of people have said not a good attorney general choice.
But you see, what Trump wants is fights. Mm-hmm. He wants chaos and fighting. And if they don't get through, that's okay. He'll put somebody else equally crazy into these positions. But what he'll do is, in the meantime, the chaos and the fighting will give him an opportunity to say to the American people, which is what he really is saying, I'm on your side, and I'm fighting the establishment. I'm fighting the normies. I'm fighting the system.
You don't think these choices are establishment choices? The news anchor, the nut job.
But here's the point. I mean, he is forcing all of us who really are progressives and who think there's a lot wrong with the system, but what we think is wrong with the system is the big money and the Elon Musk types but he's forcing all of us to become defenders of the system, of the establishment.
I know.
Because he is attacking the foundations of our system.
Right. And then we all kind of shake in our boots and think, okay.
But see, Elon Musk is really a good example. Elon Musk, when I last looked, he had made $70 billion since the election, Heather.
I know.
Since the election. He was already up at $300 billion. Can I just say, $300 billion is 300,000 million.
I know.
I mean, this is
you can't even fathom.
mind-boggling.
I mean, it would take, if we put all his dollar bills going up to space.
It would be.
When would his rocket
it would reach Mars.
His rocket
Maybe the
would surpass
best way for him to get to Mars is just put up a pile of money.
and just stairs with glue.
But the point is, Musk.
I think this might be my favorite Klatch.
Wait a minute. It's just I'm letting my anger out here.
Really?
Because Musk, he can call me names. He has called me a lot of names.
I've seen it.
But Musk is the exemplar of the billionaire who likes to think of himself as anti-establishment.
I know.
In other words,
brag, not just think of himself, brag about being anti-establishment.
How can billionaires who put in at least 120 million into Trump's campaign.
200 million is what the AP said this week.
200 million. That doesn't surprise me. Plus X. He's turned X into a kind of a morass, a swamp of misinformation.
The number of Trump ads I got before the election, I mean, it was unbelievable. And then you saw this, right? There was a PAC that came out before the election called the RBG PAC, which was not anything to do with RBG, and pushed all these ads on X that said Trump is not anti-abortion at the national level.
And he hasn't
He's not
left.
against a pro.
And when I last looked, he was still at Mar-a-Lago. That is, Elon Musk is joined at the hip to Donald Trump. He is, he appears with Elon Musk's 4-year-old son X.
I know.
Naming your child X. In these group photos, family photos at Mar-a-Lago, he wants to be. In fact, he calls himself, uncle.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
And so what he and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to run, allegedly, is the Department of Government Efficiency, which the acronym is DOGE, which is from an internet meme from 2013 that Trump is obsessed with. And it's a reference to a dog.
And every time the word Doge goes out from Elon Musk or Donald Trump, the crypto
Dogecoin
goes up and they make more money. I mean,
it's such a circle
but it's also so disgusting.
And
fundamentally,
basic,
fundamentally disgusting.
And self-promotional.
And it's I mean, Musk himself, if the core problem in America, one of the core problems is big money polluting and corrupting our system, turning it into a system of legalized bribery. Musk is the illustration of that. I mean, he is.
And he doesn't have the pressure of being president because he can't be, because he's not a natural born citizen. So and he gets to be pulling the strings and a puppet master and a cool guy.
And he's a good friend of Tucker Carlson, and he's a good friend of all of the power centers. Listen, this new so-called department is utter bullshit. But the danger is that it gives Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, 2 billionaires, by the way, it gives them a kind of a platform to recommend crazy cuts.
Oh, it's going to be hard. Where are they going to find the trillion they want to cut, by the way?
He's talking about $2 trillion in cuts.
Right.
And he's saying it's going to be, what did he use the term? It's going to be
a hardship.
A hardship.
For many, at first.
But not for the billionaires.
Well,
not for him. No, it's going to be a hardship for people who will have less Social Security, less Medicare, less Medicaid, less Affordable Care Act, while there will be tax cuts, you can imagine, galore, and Elon's own contracts, his billions and billions of contracts for SpaceX, and even Tesla, and all of the other things he gets from the federal government. Oh, you think those are going to be cut? Not a chance.
I know it. Now, this week there was a big exodus from X to Blue Sky. So since Elon purchased X, a lot of people have tried to leave, and there have been a lot of Twitter adjacent properties that have been launched. Post didn't last. So you and many people are moving over to Blue Sky. There's your handle. Thank you for promoting it. But it's been so interesting. So people had hashtag exit with a big X in it. And, The Guardian announced they'll be off X. Now, will Blue Sky be what Twitter once was, which I think people really hope? We're not sure. But it's important to see this movement and this rejection of Elon in some form, right? I know. So Inequality Media Civic Action, your Robert Reich account you just showed. I mean, we've gained almost 100,000 followers in the week, which is very exciting. Even more.
But this is a piece of a bigger issue. I get asked every day, every hour, what can I do? Yeah. What should I do? People are feeling powerless and helpless.
And that's just me texting you.
That's and your son.
Yeah.
What can we do? Well, one thing is to boycott. I mean, really use our economic power in terms of getting off of Twitter and onto this
Blue Sky,
this new platform.
But also,
and destroy X.
I'll hold it here.
Destroy X.
But also, we want the advertisers off X.
We want the advertisers. Boycott the advertisers. Yep. Boycott Tesla. I mean, people who have Teslas, it's okay. You don't have to boycott if you already have a Tesla. Yep. Boycott. That's one thing. A second thing that we can do is push the Democrats to do what they should do now. Get as many judges through as they possibly can. The House has to right now, even and the Democrats in the House have to join with one or two Republicans or three Republicans and get the Gaetz ethics investigation report.
Yes, Matt Gaetz.
Out. Get it out.
What about the Mueller report?
Get the Mueller report out. Get all of these reports out into the public domain.
Also, so they're judges, but then there are the FTC. Can't there be moves made in these last 2 weeks to secure people? And, the board of the Postal Service. And
What's 2 months?
I know, and it's holidays, and the news is filled with Trump shenanigans.
The Democrats have a lot of things that they can do and they should do, and we can. You have spent the last months helping Democrats. Well, it's time that the Democrats help the country. Even if Kamala Harris is not president, remember, Joe Biden is still the president. Democrats still have one chamber of Congress. Democrats have not disappeared. And so
I think people are frustrated. They're saying, "Where are you? Why is the blitzkrieg happening?" And have a counter of some kind.
This is part of what he wants to do.
Go out with a bang.
Is create just this feeling of inevitability and disempowerment.
A lot of people are frustrated. A lot of people are mad in similar ways to you, in different ways. Mad at their fellow Americans.
I understand that, but don't be mad. No, don't be mad at your fellow Americans. A lot of people voted for Trump because even though they knew he was an asshole, they felt the Democrats were doing nothing for them. They were tired of the establishment. We've talked about this before.
I think it's important to remember this because I'm seeing a lot of anger.
Well, what you ought to be angry about, be angry about the Republicans, the Trump Republicans, and the Democrats, the middle of the road, wishy-washy, take no stand, get money from big corporation Democrats.
Speaking of, who should run the DNC?
Well, not Rahm Emanuel. I mean, talk about Mr. Moneybags, who is really great at collecting money. No. Turn the DNC, Democratic National Committee, into not just an organization to collect money from rich people. No, turn it into a kind of mechanism to change the direction of the Democratic Party to become a working person's party, a middle and working class party. Right. I mean, the DNC is not going to do this. Believe me, it's not going to do it. But don't let the DNC just just collect big checks.
Right.
You see, there is a war for the soul of the Democratic Party now. This is not new, Heather.
I know.
I mean, I saw it in 1994 when the Democrats lost the House and the Senate, and everybody said, well, what should the Democrats do? And, a lot of middle of the road Democrats, who were in the habit of collecting money, the Democratic operatives in Washington, who do nothing but collect money,
Right.
They said, oh, well, we should move to the center, move to the right. Well, what? You move to the right? What are you talking about? Now it's even more bizarre. They're still saying this. But I don't even know what move to the right means anymore. You're going to move toward fascism? You're going to move toward authoritarianism?
No.
You're going to move towards dictatorship?
Not the Dems.
Well, then stop collecting the big checks from the big corporations and from Wall Street.
Right.
I mean, really, change your entire orientation.
Right.
And we have responsibility to push Democrats to do that.
So what are the other things we can be doing? So there are a lot of interesting organizations out there who are coming up with playbooks, who are having Zoom meetings, who are saying, become part of a local community that is thinking about change and being a support system, right? So we have...
Well, they're good organizations. In fact, there's Indivisible, which I've worked with before, you've worked with before. There is Swing Left, you've worked with.
Yep.
I have also worked with.
Move On, we've worked with.
We've talked about Blue Sky as a platform. Common Cause, I used to be chairman of the governing board. Wonderful organization, important organization.
Can I have one? Inequality Media, and Inequality Media Civic Action.
Inequality Media and Inequality Media Civic Action, all very important organizations. These are as close to national Democrats come and national progressives come to grassroots organizations, and we have got to make them stronger and tougher. The American Civil Liberties Union,
right.
Absolutely. I mean, there has got to be. Now, again, people are exhausted.
Right.
Can we just be clear about this? I'm just introspecting. I'm exhausted.
I know.
And people who have gone through this campaign and worked their butts off are exhausted.
And I think so, but the other thing is, I mean, I think sometimes I like being the naysaying devil's advocate over here. Some people are so tired and so exhausted and so frustrated with America that I think they're saying, forget it. I mean, you get what you reap, what you sow, and all that and all that. And I don't subscribe to that. There's no way. I am more fired up than I ever have been. And what helps me is looking at, so yes, Trump won, but we have states like Missouri and Nebraska where we are seeing exactly what you said we want to be seeing. It's people who are working class. We are fighting for an anti-establishment working class movement.
This is out there in these bright red states.
Yes.
What they're doing, they did not vote for Kamala Harris. They voted for Trump, but they also...
They upped the minimum wage in Missouri to $7.50.
They increased the minimum wage. Right? In Nebraska, they voted in a paid sick leave provision. I mean, this is not right-wing stuff. This is economic populism.
Right.
This is heartland populism. This is where Democrats need to go. This is where progressives need to build on.
Right.
And it's
just
out there.
People. I'm tired of all the labels. This just helps people.
Well, of course it helps people, but it also builds confidence. It builds momentum. It builds a sense that, and abortion rights. I mean, these are popular across America, Kansas. And what we have to understand is it's not blue versus red America. We're talking about the billionaires and the billionaire class against really the middle class and the working class and the poor. The top 0.1% against the bottom 90%.
I know.
That's what this is all about, Heather.
But so let's be clear. The Dems have billionaires, but the Republicans have more and bigger and stronger and let them in more? Like, let's just be clear. The billionaires are everywhere.
Right now, the Democrats and Republicans both have billionaires. The Democrats' billionaires are just sort of, let's hold the system together. The status quo isn't that bad. It's great. Let's protect the status quo. And the Republicans are bomb throwers. At least the Trump Republicans are bomb throwers. And they want to be seen as bomb throwers.
Yep.
The Elon Musk is taking a delight in throwing bombs.
Yep.
And the angrier we get, the more delighted they are.
I know. We're just playing into it.
Well, we're playing into it only if the bottom 90% sees people like us angry and says, oh, good, we got them angry. We got them angry. That is the task for us and progressives. That is, we are not the enemy. We are not the elites. We are trying to fight the economic elites who actually have the real power. And we are trying to help with paid leave, with minimum wage, with all of the things
consumer protections,
with all the things that people need,
anti-monopoly,
people want, anti-monopoly. The silver lining, if there's any silver lining.
Please, I mean, it's a little tarnished, but let's but preach to us about it.
The silver lining is if people like RFK Jr. actually do destroy or try.
Oh, Bob, don't finish the sentence.
No, I'm going to finish the sentence. If they try to destroy the Food and Drug Administration and the Center for Disease Control and these other things, and the Justice Department becomes a cesspool.
I'm going to take these earphones off and walk out.
Let me just finish my thought. The Department of Defense becomes a kind of this awful vengeance, machine, and every place else we have ideals. The silver lining is that it reveals to America the real horror of Trumpism, of Donald Trump's distortion of America.
And America sees it for that?
And America, this is the goal. This is what we have to make sure America sees it. This is why you are doing what you're doing. I'm doing what, Inequality Media this is why we do this. We have got to make sure that the midterm elections of 2026 mark the end of the reign of this regime. That Democrats take back the House and the Senate, but not just any Democrats. Democrats who understand the role, the real role of the Democratic Party in terms of economic justice, fairness, populism.
And we have to remember, Trump was a very unpopular president. So we have 2 years to play with that. We have 2 years to play with messaging. We have 2 years to get it together. Right?
We do. I
don't know about your silver lining. But so can we talk a little bit about I like your historical, this is fun today. I feel like any question I ask you gets a great response.
I have a lot of...
I know. But so what happened in the first Gilded Age and the progressive era came in?
Oh, this is actually very pertinent.
I know it is. So
we were just talking about.
In.
So 1890s, you had these billionaires, the equivalent of billionaires, who took over, monopolized railroads, steel, all of the major industries of the country, and subjugated everybody else to basically poverty. And the gap between the wealthy and everybody else just grew just about what it is today. And there was corruption. I mean, disgusting levels of bribes, and the wealthy would literally hire their underlings to deliver sacks of money to the desks of pliant legislators. It was the most disgusting you can imagine. Well, America was so revolted, the average person in America was so revolted, Heather, that brought on what historians call the progressive era. The progressive era. We're not talking about progressive party. We're talking about progressive era. Teddy Roosevelt, granted a Republican, Teddy Roosevelt came in there and he instituted for the first time an income tax. The Food and Drug Administration was created. Teddy Roosevelt, started going after the monopolies with antitrust, and then you had others. Woodrow Wilson, and then Teddy Roosevelt's fifth cousin, when the Gilded Age got totally out of control. And then what did we have? We had the Great Crash. Because you see, when the billionaires are in control, and they know it, there's no limit to their greed. There's no limit to the excess. And then you have something horrible happen, like the Great Crash of 1929. And then we were plunged into the Great Depression, and Teddy Roosevelt's fifth cousin, Franklin D. Roosevelt, came in with a mandate, a true mandate, to restructure capitalism. Now, I hope we don't have to suffer something like the Great Depression or, World War something. But let me just say that the silver lining ultimately is that we will have another progressive era. People will see how greedy and excessive and outrageous these billionaires are.
Yeah, and people are fired up.
Well, they have to be fired up.
And others.
Well, no, but I understand.
It's so heartening, though.
But look, I understand, and we have to bring this to a close because I think we're out of. Are we out of time?
I mean, details. Yeah, we're out of time.
But let me just say to you, and I want to also say this to all of you. I can understand if you are tired and you are despondent. And I understand if you are despairing. And I wake up with these feelings too. You're not alone. And I understand people who feel like the world is turned upside down and there's nothing I can do about it. The closest analogy, and I don't want to be unduly alarmist, but the closest analogy is Germany in 1933. Now, we're not there yet. We could be. But what people have to do, what decent people have to do, is not give up, not resign themselves to this regime or this authoritarianism or this fascism. No, we have to fight in every way we can. Now, we've talked about organizations that are doing this. We've talked about boycotts. We've talked about changing the Democratic Party into not a mechanism to just get money, but really a party that puts together a new coalition of working class people, middle class people, to make the economy fairer, to seek social justice. These are things that we have got to do, not because they're politically correct to do, but because the democracy that we have inherited requires it. And all I want to say, Heather, is we're going to talk a lot more about this.
And we can do it. We can do it.
Of course we can do it.
Yes, of course we can do it.
Of course we can do it. We have to do it.
Good.
So
I like that as an ending.
You all have a good weekend and stay strong.
See you in a week.